What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is the August View from Jamestown. We got a full house this morning, which is pretty exciting. We got Rob Roach, AJ Petrarca, Matt Francor, and last but not least, Javier Fernandez. So thank you guys all for sitting down with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. That was really anticlimactic. You guys be a little more excited than that.
Good morning.
So like I said, this is the August View from Jamestown. Got a lot of different stuff going on, some pricing updates on tariffs. Obviously got a lot of people sitting down this morning, so we got a lot of good insight from a lot of different people, which will be nice. Starting things off, I want to get right into, I think, the most talked about and probably the biggest thing going on around the industry right now is the prospective tariff updates. Good, we got Matt Francor sitting down with us. He's obviously been looking at it closely day to day with a lot of things changing and updates going on, and I think even still a lot of misinformation on what's going on and how things look. So Matt, maybe you want to give a quick update on where things are at with the prospective tariffs and how all that's going.
Yeah, will do. So I'm just going to start off telling you about why these tariffs are coming into effect. It is a Section 301 tariff in response to a study done by the U.S. Trade Commission and enacted by Trump, I think, starting in March. And it really had the rationale of protecting U.S. business interests and for reasons of national security in response to certain business practices by the Chinese state and Chinese companies, notably the Made in China 2025 plan. And so far, there are 3 installments to the list. List 1 included 818 items from China with a 25% tariff, had little to no effect on chemicals. The only one included was a line having to do with isotopes from inorganic chemicals, so no effect on TCC, at least there. List 2 had 25% tariff on 284 items, effective in September of 2018. Some effect chemicals really just having to do with lubricating oils from Section 27 and 34, and plastics, including those mixed with plasticizers, in Section 39. The big one that affects TCC is List 3. It's a 10% tariff on just over 6,000 items from China, and it has extremely heavy effect on chemicals, notably Sections 28, 29, and 38, inorganic, organic, and miscellaneous chemicals. And so far, we have identified about 20 of TCC's chemicals imported from China that are listed on here. Notable chemicals include diamide, only produced in volume in China, which is extremely important for agricultural applications, which are really fallen victim under all these tariffs, the agriculture industry. And to kind of fight back against these tariffs, Congress or Senate finally passed the Miscellaneous Tariff Bill Act, which cuts or reduces tariffs on products that can help reduce the cost to business and consumers in the U.S. And there are 3 requirements to be included to be posed within that bill. The first one is it can be easily administered by Customs and Border Protection. The second is the reduction does not exceed $500,000 a year in lost taxes for the U.S. government. And 3, it's non-controversial, meaning it doesn't hurt American business interests by being produced in large quantities domestically. And only 2 of our 21 products affected by all of the Section 301 tariffs actually qualified under this bill, to kind of give you some idea for what you might be able to expect to see from the miscellaneous tariff bill.
So in terms of the products that TCC actively manages, there were a lot of them taken back by the new bill, or not a lot of them taken back by the new bill?
Not a lot. So only 2 out of 21 were actually reduced in tariffs under the miscellaneous tariff bill. One was brought down to no tariff, and one was brought down to 1%.
Got it. And so I guess moving over to Rob, AJ, and Javier, you guys obviously are actively talking to suppliers and customers and people in the industry. What are you guys seeing? Are you guys seeing this come up in conversations? Have you actively started to see it impacting prices, or is this getting down to actual business operations yet?
One thing I've noticed is how few people are actually aware of what's happening. Talking to folks that import a good amount of stuff from China, they're just not aware of these tariffs. I don't think it's been very, very well communicated to the market. And it's a very real thing. These people should know about it, and they don't. So I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when and if these things come into effect and they're hit with an extra 10% on their customs clearance paperwork. It's going to hurt a lot of people for sure.
I think the first thing that jumps in my mind is, we're a global company. I mean, we operate sales and marketing throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
So is this going to affect TCC? Yes, it's going to affect TCC in terms of, the United States of America. But, we have seen some uptick and will see more uptick in other countries we operate in. And it's going to give them the cost benefit, if it does, trickle down to those few products that we actually handle from China. You can still send dicyandiamide to Mexico duty free and make a blend, a fertilizer blend. Let's say it's a nitrogen extender, and then under NAFTA you can import that to the United States. So I mean, that's sort of a narrow focus, just maybe one.
Right.
That's just like, oh, let's pick on one
Yep.
product that we handle.
Yep.
And just to let you know, we've had an office in China, I think, since 2005. We do operate on a buying side in China. It's not a major focus of our business. We've been very much, the Americas in terms of partners for our producing partners in Europe, Middle East. So for us, we're fortunate that it's not going to have a major detriment on our business. Maybe Matt, you can comment on, is that true that we're basically putting other countries in a better position by doing this, narrowly focusing on chemicals? Are we, is that, these plastics or these additives going to make it to Canada and come in as finished goods at a lower cost? I mean, is that what's going to trickle down here?
I think you're definitely going to see, responses like that from both, Canada and Mexico. At the moment, sometimes that extra step of processing, in other NAFTA countries hasn't been cost effective, but with these new tariffs, I think you're definitely going to start seeing, more of that kind of trend. So like you were saying with the dicyandiamide, mixing it with other nitrogen supplies and plasticizer, like you said, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of that.
And we also haven't touched on the fact that what are we going to see from China now?
Yep.
So that's it's a real shakeup.
I think that might be a good transition over to Javier, dealing a lot with Latin America, South America. Have you seen impacts from your contacts and stuff down there, customers and suppliers? Has it not gotten there yet, or what are you seeing in that region?
It hasn't got there because a lot of stuff that we do from China, it ships direct. So there's not stuff that comes to the U.S., converts here into a finished goods, and then is re-exported. So there's no change. I think the only I see advantage of Mexico being more competitive worldwide. I mean, Mexico has 40 plus free trade agreements, access to both ports. I mean, labor is economical. The level of expertise and education is high. So, I mean, Mexico's in a good spot, and I think that we're going to see a lot of growth coming from Mexico.
So it sounds like, I mean, there's a lot of positive and a lot of negative, and I think we're obviously very narrow focused on the chemical industry, but obviously this impacts a whole wide variety of different industries, and there's a lot to it. Maybe Matt, just to kind of round it out, what are the upcoming steps, the next timeline, whether these go fully into effect, or is there a grace period, or what can people expect to see in the next 4 to 8 weeks as they're trying to follow the news and see what's going on?
So as far as, what's already in effect, the first list of 818 items from China, those are already final and in effect. They were greatly reduced from that first iteration. I think they included about $50 billion, worth of goods in that. And it mostly affects one line of inorganic chemicals, 2 rubber articles, but the vast majority is in electrical and mechanical machinery. So, I mean, those industries that use that kind of stuff are going to be pretty largely affected. Chemical industry, maybe not so much unless you're talking about, production equipment. List 2, it's going into effect up September 2018, and it's lubricating oils, plastics, and much more of that mechanical equipment. And list 3, it affected pretty much everything across the board. So all those 3 lists together represent about half of the United States' imports from China, about $250 billion. and that list 3 is going into effect sometime in October of 2018. That's anticipated. Miscellaneous tariff bill, I'm actually not sure when that officially goes into effect, but I think it's probably going to be around the time that that second list or third list go into effect. I think the last step is that Trump just has to sign it when it goes across his desk.
So a lot of this sounds pretty definite. There's no if or maybe. It's kind of more when at this point.
More or less. I mean, if we see anything like we saw for list 1, where it was cut down from $50 billion to $34 billion in tariffs due to industry and public comment, we could see a reduction. But for that first list, all that really happened was they took that $16 billion that they didn't put tariffs on initially, just put it right into list 2.
Got it.
So I think we're eventually going to see most, if not all, imports from China being affected in some way. And the interesting thing is actually China's option for retaliation, because they can't play tit for tat because of the trade deficit. So there's some anticipation that there's going to be a backlash against American companies working in China, which I think the effect of that would be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
It could really be a mess. And our position is that protectionism is not a good policy, and it's really hurting Americans already. And we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how everything shakes out and what Trump's long-term plans are. I mean, a lot of people and articles have talked about how much of a businessman he was, and he supposed to be knows what he's doing and has a long-term picture, but it's a little bit fuzzy to see it at this moment, at least, it seems like. Anything else on the tariff front, Matt, or anybody else? No, move on a little bit. Looking at pricing info and trends going into August, we've seen some stuff start to get announced, some stuff we're hearing rumors and waiting for some final announcements. Rob, AJ, Javier, what are you guys seeing across the board for pricing updates heading into August and starting to head into the backside of the summer here?
Pretty tame. I mean, propylene rolled for July. We're seeing benzene is still trading range bound $2.80 to $3 in that range. Supply and demand fundamentals are kicking in for certain things. Propylene is certainly a victim of that. And methanol, we're seeing a downtrend in the methanol values. We've had a giant plant just come on stream in nat gasoline. There's been a little disruption in phenol with some rationalization, certainly affecting that. Overall, crude is trading still around $70 a barrel,
Yep.
and that's certainly high, compared to where most people would expect it to be. But we are in a heavy driving season right now. So I think that there's certainly arbitrage between Europe and U.S. on many products, Asia and U.S. right now, because there's real high demand in certain areas and a lack of availability in those same areas. So that's what's driving most of the products that even if propylene's a driver on a product that we're selling and it's flat, there's still not much molecules out there, so the demand is high for a lack of molecules. So it's still a supply and demand fundamental out there.
AJ or Javier, any other updates? I know AJ, you do a lot more in the U.S. base, and then Javier, obviously looking at a lot of stuff Latin, South America, even some stuff in Europe. Are you guys seeing stuff regionally or product based, kind of along those same lines?
Well, one of the products that I manage, urea, is up a little bit for August, and that's again just global supply demand fundamentals. But as far as demand goes, it seems to be a lot of uncertainty. At least the past couple of weeks, when you talk to folks, they'll say it's dead, and then call you back later on that week, and it's busy. We're going crazy, and then again, they say it's dead a few days later. So it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty. Based on raw materials and where things are headed. But yeah, we'll see what August brings.
Yeah, so it seems pretty quiet of a month overall, it seems like, as we're seeing price changes or lack of changes for that matter and stuff filing up for August. So that's good. All right, moving on. Featured products, new stuff we're working on. Maybe Javier, if you want to get it started with some stuff the team's working on, and maybe you directly as well with new products or stuff we want to feature that's going on that we're really pushing.
Yeah, right now we're working with new suppliers for acetone and phenol. We have availability in trucks, rail cars, and also ISO tanks for exports. So that's a pretty interesting opportunity that we have. And now with the U.S. has been rationalization on the volumes with the Shell shutting down the plant phenol 3 at the end of last year.
And so that's pretty good availability with both those products.
Yeah, it's I won't say it's long, but I mean we have it available, which is good.
Nice. Rob, Matt, anything else we're working on? Anything new to mention?
Yeah, we're still, heavily pushing Elator CH from Evonik. A little bit of background on Evonik. They're the second largest producer of DANP in the world, and they're, really, really well positioned for these plasticizers, and especially the non-phthalate options. Elator CH is a pretty direct competitor with Dinch, which is a, pretty easily recognizable name.
Yeah, they can't use that name Dinch, but it's it's the same product. It's it's a hydrogenated DINP diisononyl cyclohexanoate. So it removes the phthalate, and you have good performance, good for use in things that come into human contact. Pretty much across the board, there's a variety of applications, and they've just opened up an opportunity to us to sell in the U.S. And continuing with the Evonik theme, we've started a partnership with them in hydrogen peroxide. This is a good growth. It's part of our strategy as a company to grow with good producing partners. And this is for continental United States, something we haven't been in before, but you can expect to hear more about it. And finally, another new product available in the United States is the Vestinol INB, which is isononyl benzoate. This is a fast fusing plasticizer, typically used as a secondary in things like flooring applications. So something that also just became available and rolls right with that theme of growth with our good producing partners in Evonik. And so these are some of the products you'll hear more about directly from our sales team and possibly in these podcasts.
And is availability for all those products you just mentioned pretty immediate, or are those kind of things that are coming online in a little while?
Well, for the acetone, phenol, hydrogen peroxide, all produced here domestically in the United States, and Canada. And then for the Elator CH and the Vestinol INB, right now there's some lead time for those products. They'll be coming over from Germany. But as the volumes grow, we'll certainly put assets in place to make them more readily available. Albeit, the tariff and the whole global trade war doesn't really get ugly. That will certainly happen. So, just some of the new products that we're featuring and have available. But yeah, the lead times on the CH, the Elator CH and the INB are a little longer. The others are readily available.
I guess for more info on any of those products, if you already have a contact with TCC, whether it's a sales contact or someone in the office, feel free to contact them and they can get you in touch with the right person, or check us out on thechemco.com. There's a contact form. You can get info right through there and get some pretty quick feedback on pricing and availability. Moving on, event shows and conferences. I think we've enjoyed a pretty quiet summer, which has been nice. And now things start to get a little busier again in the August and September timeframe. Maybe Javi or AJ, I know you guys are attending a bunch of stuff coming up. What do you guys have coming up on the timeline here shortly?
Yes, in a few weeks, we'll be at the Asia Pacific at the APIC show in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It's going to be me and Steve Friedwell. We'll be there for the Asian conference.
And that's in Kuala Lumpur?
Yeah, that's in Malaysia.
Has that ever been there before? Is that the first year?
No, first time. Last year was in Sapporo.
Sapporo, Japan.
Yeah.
Nice. That's always a good event.
And they delayed the meeting. It was supposed to be in May. I believe.
May, yeah.
And why did they delay it? Do you know?
Oh, because when they planned it so far ahead, they didn't count that there was going to be election week that week in Malaysia. So they delayed from May until August.
It actually kind of worked out because I think it was the week of NPE. And
it
so
was.
None of us were going to go anyways, or a smaller showing. So I think it was good that happened.
How's the weather in Kuala Lumpur in August? I mean, probably cooler than it is here or in Houston.
Probably like Houston weather.
Yeah.
Bet you're looking forward to that.
Yes, I'm gonna love it.
And then some other stuff coming up in September. AJ and Javi both have a couple things on your plate. AJ, what's coming up later on?
Well, we'll be again exhibiting at the Specialty Agro and Chemicals America show down in Charleston, September 5th through the 8th. I'll be there along with Ray Altenberger, Corey Mullins, and we're looking forward to it. Charleston's a great city, and that show's been really good the past 4 years that we've been exhibiting. We're looking forward to that one.
And that's the organization that started the one in Texas next year in February as well. They're branching out with that second event too, which we'll also be at.
Yeah, so this show's gotten so popular, and there's so much demand for it that they started a second show that's going to be in Fort Worth, Texas, in 2019. I think that's more targeted to the oil and gas and downhole type industry, but we'll be at that one as well. But again, that's not till 2019. And then the week after that, we're at the UTEC down in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's a polyurethane show. Myself and Javier will be manning the booth. So if you're at either one, drop us a note and we'll get together at the shows and talk some chemicals.
So you're pretty much just spending September in the Carolinas at this rate.
Yeah. I was thinking about just getting an Airbnb down there and hanging out for the month of September.
Rob's gonna pretend he didn't hear that one.
No, I'm fine with that.
We can go to Hilton Head after, play some tennis.
Yeah, golf, tennis,
Some good fishing down there, no?
and fish.
Yeah.
September's great. You got
Sound-
false albacore off Hatteras and get up on the shrimp boats and some tunas. It's a
You
great
wanna-
time to be there.
You want to join?
Let's shut down TCC for September. We'll all go down.
I like it. And then along the same lines as APIC, the EPCA coming up a little later in October. I know we're starting to push that a little bit and get meetings set up. Rob, you'll be heading over there.
Yeah, I've been to Vienna once before. Looking forward to it. I'm going to be over there with Ray and Javier, and it's always a great show, EPCA, and always great venues. Vienna's going to be beautiful in early October, so as just about everywhere in Europe is.
Has the show been in Vienna, or have you just been there otherwise?
It was in Vienna, I'm going to say 5 years ago. Usually it bounces between Budapest and Berlin, but there was an off year 4 or 5 years ago that we were in Vienna, and honestly didn't get to see much of the city. My wife did, but
Yeah.
hopefully I'll have some time this year and get to look around a little bit. What I saw, I loved.
Yeah, so if anyone's heading to that show or starting to think about it, feel free to either contact Rob directly. You can contact Nicole Canning or just submit a note via our website, and we'd be happy to set up a meeting and see what the schedule looks like for that coming up. Wrapping things up, stuff coming up this month. I guess coming up right in August, anything you guys are seeing specific to August or anything people should start looking out for as summer kind of comes on the back end, which is sad to say, and we start to look towards fall and even winter in terms of securing supply and thinking about inventories.
August is typically a hard time to get any answers out of Europe, that's for sure. Seems like everybody's on vacation for the month of August, so
AJ fits that mold too.
yeah. Missed their vacation here, so any answers that we can help with, we're happy to. We are working through August, and it's usually a very busy time of the year. I mean, August, September, October, even November. December last year was astounding. I mean, obviously we were in a very heated up economy at that time. So hopefully everything continues. Fingers crossed. Things in chemicals have been good, and hoping that it all continues and all this global discussion sort of placates itself, and we can get back to doing good business.
And obviously, I think it all goes without saying, just to touch upon the whole trucking and logistics situation, to continue to push longer lead times and plan ahead as much as possible and plan your orders and your trucks as far ahead as possible.
I'm glad you mentioned it, Ben. It continues to be a major issue. I definitely see more of our customers aware that they need to give longer lead times and expect possible delays. As we've said before, the truckers are in the driver's seat. They're going to do what they want to do. and they're going to take the best deal offered to them. So often you'll, give 2 weeks lead time, and the truck will have to show up 2 days early, and it doesn't show up because they got a better, run, higher value run to go somewhere else. So that's really causing a lot of stress on our people, which is a shame, and it's a horrible side effect of all this, because it's really not their fault. It's not their fault that the trucker didn't show up. We had a confirmation, everything is set up, but we're not alone in this, and we know everybody out there is suffering because of the trucking, and even the railroads are very congested because of all the trucking issues. So we're having problems on the rail lines. So please, please, please give us as long a lead time as possible.
And I think it goes without saying, whether you already have a TCC sales contact or if you don't have a contact yet, feel free to contact us on the website. But anyone at TCC is happy to talk about what's going on in trucking and provide recommendations and insight as best we can. We're obviously not a trucking company, but we deal with it pretty closely. So I think everyone's happy to help out as much as possible and do what we can from what we see to help your business continue to grow.
Can't they contact us through the app too? Come on,
contact us through the app, any of our social media platforms, basically anywhere you see TCC, feel free to send us a note, and we'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible. The website, any of our social media platforms, anywhere you can contact us, we'll get right back to you. So we're pretty accessible, which is nice. Any other last thoughts heading into August, wrapping up July? Anything else going on? Rob, fishing's been good?
The fishing's been good. We've seen a lot of, guests up here, suppliers, customers, trucking partners, producing partners. It's been a great fishing season. The weather's been nice. It's you can't complain. And I know that, we've seen our sales team out in a lot of golf tournaments and charity golf tournaments and industry golf tournaments, and that's been good. And so we're taking advantage of the summer while it's here to get out with our friends in the industry and spend some quality time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Javier and Angela Diaz also made it over to the FIFA World Cup in Russia this year. Yeah. Javi, glad you made it back in one piece. Thank you.
Yes. I have my phone hacked.
Did you?
No.
Yeah, now you can get a hold of Javi from now to the end of the year because he has no vacation.
Zero
Yeah,
vacation
I'm
days.
out of it. No, that was actually a fun time. Go to work. It was my first work. It was fun. We got to see a lot of games, and it was really fun time.
Would you do it again?
Yes, definitely.
Does your wallet want to do it again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And so Javi's back to full time. Full 15 hours a week. Of
15?
Work, so,
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
That's a stretch.
Well, AJ's been on vacation. We had to actually send him the address to the office this morning and make sure he knew what to fob back in. It's been a little while, so.
I had to plug it into Waze.
Yeah, make sure you knew
to
where
the office. Yeah.
Well, regardless, we're happy to have everyone back in one piece and around the office, somewhat, more or less. So thank you guys for sitting down this morning. And George Manchester, thank you for manning the soundboard over there. And we'll catch you next time. Like I said, the podcast is available on the TCC mobile app. Feel free to check that out on the podcast store. I mean the App Store as well as the Google Play Store under the Chemical Company or the View from Jamestown. You can also stream this podcast on SoundCloud, YouTube, the Apple Podcast app, Google Play Store, right on the chemco.com/podcast. Pretty much wherever you can get your podcast or your audio, it's available there. Yep, we're
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Anything and everything.
Yep.
We're there.
Tablets, iPhones, Google phones, we're there. So
Yeah.
TVs.
Smoke signal, carrier pigeon.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you for sitting down this morning. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks.